Let's talk to Stephen in Florida. You're on the air. Welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon, Alex. Two quick things I wanted to bring up. First of all, a couple weeks ago, you've heard of Michael Medved, right?
Yeah, it's his favorite sport to attack me.
Right, exactly. He's typical neocon. Well, he was talking on...
Well, he's not typical. He's one of the slimiest out there.
Yeah, he is. And anyway, he was talking about the polls, the latest polls about the Republican, presidential prospects, and saying that, Mitt Romney and, the other people, Palin and, these others are in the front. So I called in and I said, hey, I'm really offended by this poll and what you're saying because it's obvious the front runner is Ron Paul. And I went into about how Ron Paul, I said, is more than anybody else except for Alex Jones, has awakened more people than anybody else. So he went into, Alex Jones, and he tried to say about Ron Paul being old and all this kind of stuff, and he looks tired. But he brought up the Bohemian Grove. And so I proceeded to try and respond to this and saying, well, what's your beef? He went in, he, videotaped it, put it out on the internet. I mean, it's obvious, and they've admitted this is going on. It's all documented. But of course, he was mocking at that point. But these people are so stupid, like Medved, because in doing that, it's like a kid. You tell him no, and he's going to do it anyway. And so this idiot, he's putting this out there trying to mock you. But I'll guarantee you, this caused some people to go, I think I'm going to do a search on that and just check it out for myself.
Well, let me expand on that. They always turn it around. Like, we read the New York Times, Time Magazine, literally countless. It's got to be 100 of them in the last 2 weeks. It's so many you can't even just search the term lithium in the water in Google News, and it's hundreds of mainstream articles and blogs. I saw 4 or 5 of them yesterday saying how great lithium is, and then Wired Magazine responded and said I was insane, and wrote another article saying that basically I believe aliens are going to come to the Earth. I've never talked about aliens. I've never said a mothership is coming to get us. But they say I'm lying about the media proposing lithium in the water, and I basically believe space aliens are going to land. And almost every comment of literally hundreds in those articles said, you're the one that's crazy. Here's the news articles calling for lithium. Alex isn't saying space aliens are about to arrive and destroy the Earth. Alex doesn't talk about space aliens. And then he countered saying, you're delusional. You're all just his supporters. You're lying too. So this is what they do. I sneak into Bohemian Grove. I'm there for one, evening, 5 hours. They do this weird ritual. I was there and saw the photos in their camp houses of men dressed as women. It's in mainstream news reports like the New York Post that they fly in gay porn stars, and each leader has his own gay porn star to service him, and it's Republican leaders, and they're having gay orgies. Now, I'm not here bashing gay people, but the point is that you've got the Republican leadership being compromised, and Nixon talked about it. He said, well, I was running for governor, and I had to go, and it's the most GD faggy thing you've ever seen, to use his quote, and this is how they compromise them. And the Republicans all go in there and have sex with gay porn stars, and then they go, okay, you've now been compromised, we can promote you. It's just like Obama. I mean, come on. I mean, to be specific here, I think that the whole gay lifestyle is very, very destructive. They have the highest level of suicide, the highest level of partner violence, the highest level of disease. I'm not somebody who sits up here and judges people or hates them. But I do care about people. And I also, now that I'm older, realize how dangerous promiscuity is. I mean, I think that is just as bad. I think, you could sit around and joke about it. And I was joking about it with Mancow the other day, the talk show host, when he said most men don't seem like they're aggressively attracted to women. I was just uncontrollably attracted to women, and I still am. But, I guess I'm married and love my wife and, have psychologically grown. But I'm not here judging people that just want to run around fornicating, except for the fact that it's destructive and dangerous, and it results in abortions and, results in health problems. Thank God I never had any problems. But if if I could be a teenager again and look back on it, I'm not proud of the things I did. And, of course, I was just par for the course growing up in Dallas, Texas, and then Austin. I went to high school part of the time in a suburb of Dallas and then here in Austin. And, I mean, it was just, the women were ready to go. And I was ready to go as well. My issue, though, about the homosexuality at Bohemian Grove, this was in Harper's Magazine. They interviewed Nixon back in the 70s when he was president. And he talked about Bohemian Grove and how he had to go there for political power when he was running for governor, his unsuccessful bid. He'd been a senator, of course, hooked in with Prescott Bush. And he called it the most GD, faggy thing you can imagine. And then after he died, Harper's did another article. People didn't believe it and released the audio tape of the taped interview with the reporter. I mean, he let him tape it. So you can just search Nixon. I'm not going to play it on air because it has profanity in it. Nixon used a lot of profanity. But you can search Richard Nixon talks about Bohemian Grove. And at Bohemian Grove, just while I was there, there was a big photo of Henry Kissinger bent over with his butt sticking out, wearing women's panties, simulating, I don't even want to say it with children listening. And by the way, I was sworn to secrecy at the time. I was sworn to secrecy, and wearing my journalist hat, I always, unless it's something completely illegal, I follow my journalistic integrity. If somebody came to me and said, as a journalist, I'm going to tell you a secret. Okay, tell me the secret. Oh, I murdered somebody. I mean, I would be forced to call the police. One time we had a fella show up and say, they're investigating me. They think I firebombed the governor's mansion. And he tried to give me this big box of material, or my crew, and I thought it could be a setup to set me up for the firebombing. And so, but plus, I just had to call. I mean, I called the state police, and they came out, and because I had to. But short of that, I will never break, the journalist code. And it is the journalist code that if something's illegal, you've got to talk about it. But John Ronson snuck in as well, and it had me swear for liability issues and never say that he went in. And then a year later, he publishes a book saying he snuck in there with me, and he writes about Kissinger, if you want to read it. So it's not just me that saw this. Kissinger with a bunch of other world leaders dressed as women, bent over, simulating inserting fingers in their rectums. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I was trying to hide out and stay away from people and being questioned by Secret Service with Mike Hanson, who also snuck in with me. And Ronson saw me get in successfully and decided he was going to sneak in the same way. So I didn't even know he was going to sneak in until I later saw him walking down one of the forest paths and didn't say anything. But the point is, Ronson backs up what I saw. And then later, widows, it's happened in 2 cases, sent me internal annals, 10-year annals. And it's Bush Sr. and Jr. speaking. And the media never, said don't call W Jr., but he's called Jr. in those books, and they dress in drag. It's admitted in Spy Magazine, People Magazine, CBS News, that limos just drive in all day long, and jets land from New York and L.A. with the gay prostitutes. And I didn't understand, because in 2000, I was a lot better looking than I am now. I was about 30 pounds lighter than I am now. And people seen the videos of him. I see women commenting on YouTube, man, he's handsome. And I was pretty handsome then. And Mike was a handsome guy. And I hadn't done my research properly on Bohemian Grove. And I'd heard that there was a lot of homosexuality in there. But you got to be there to believe it. And I had old men whistling at me and coming at me. And I had groundskeepers laughing at us and whistling at us. And I literally probably only walked around for an hour of the 5 hours because I was questioned by Secret Service, by Sonoma County Sheriff's deputies. Luckily, with a straight face, I knew enough about the camps to say I'm a member of the Hillbillies, knowing that was a Texas camp. They have over 100 camps within the 2,700 acres, log cabins. And so, I mean, and then it got dark, and they reportedly at this pool, this little lake, have this idol, and there was the idol. And I know that Moloch was a bull in Sumeria, but occultists always mix and match. They addressed it as Moloch in their literature, as Moloch during the ritual, and as Lilith, which is the owl god, or sometimes represented by an owl. And they went through this incantation of conjuring the dead Bohemian Grove members that had been there. And I was with those old men on the beach, looking across the 50, 60 yards at the owl, and they were grinding their teeth and in reverent rapture. And Mike Hanson sitting beside me, you can even hear this on the audio if you boost it up, because we were trying to shoot video of this. There's a little hidden camera on my side. And Mike was like, oh, that's interesting. And they would just look at him with hatred, even though he was whispering, oh, that's nice. You know, like he was in a crowd of people. No, they were taking this like he was talking in church. And then you have the New York Post and the rest of it reporting that, you know, headline, Chad Savage, gay porn star services moguls. That was the headline. And so many other headlines. In that Spy magazine piece, and we have video shots of that in the films, another reporter who successfully snuck in but then got caught, he was still able to write about it. He just was unable to get any photos. He just described being hit on. And I mean, and so my point is, when you see the Republican leadership, if they've been to Bohemian Grove, they are sent there to be compromised. And it just shows you how everything you're told is not what reality really is. Just like they tell you, we promise you these body scanners do not have any radiation and cannot hurt you, and we promise you they cannot even be saved. And then it turns out they're saving everything. At the state courthouses, at the federal courthouses that have them, at the airports. It's now completely admitted. They lied to you openly from the beginning, because they're all confident. And the Democrats have their weird Bohemian Grove with Maurice Strong in Colorado. And reportedly similar things go on there, but women are involved as well. Helmut Schmidt, German chancellor, before Helmut Kohl, he wrote the book Men and Powers, a Political Retrospective. We own the book. I did shots of the text. I underlined it in the film. And he says, we do our own rituals at our own Druidic grove. Remember, Jesus said, you know, don't go to the groves, cut down the groves, where they do these rituals. People say, Jesus was for cutting down trees. No, he meant in their holy groves, where they do the sacrifices. Now, that's in the Bible. It's the same stuff going on 2,000 years ago, or 2,010 years ago, is going on now. And Schmidt says, oh, Bilderberg Group, Trilateral Commission, we run the planet, one world government, it's so wonderful. I mean, he wrote this. And he says, we have our own groves to do rituals, but my favorite place to do rituals is Bohemian Grove, and I travel every year. And he says more decisions get made there than even the Trilateral Commission or Bilderberg Group. The real decisions get made there while they're on drugs and drinking, and some of the men like women. But it's men only, so they drive into Monte Rio. It's got 4 or 5 hotels. And when you're there during that season, there are just hookers everywhere. You know, when you're outside the Grove, there are just beautiful, you know, number 10 hookers, females, just, and they go to the local golf course to be picked up. So the Grove members drive over there, and they want a female, and they also pick up the males and drive them in with them. And this is who your leadership is. Most of these Republican leaders you see up on television that go to Bohemian Grove, go to a forest retreat, dress up like women, do bizarre black magic rituals, and have sex with gay porn stars and gay prostitutes. I mean, that's a fact. Richard Nixon talked about it, okay? I mean, nothing you've been told is true.